White bride threw a fit when the makeup artist was black. 4 hours later, she begged her for help. What happens when a bride kicks out her makeup artist just because she's black? She thought it was just about lipstick until the truth showed up holding a brush. What happened next left the entire wedding speechless. Monica Brooks woke up at 5:17 a.m. with that kind of feeling. The kind you get when your gut tells you the day ahead is going to be heavy. Not because something's already gone wrong, but because it all has to go exactly right. And exactly right means people seeing your work, not your skin. Wishful thinking? Sure. But Monica still held on to a sliver of hope. That morning at least, she still believed. Just a little. She poured herself a cup of coffee, not the sweet, creamy nonsense folks like to post on social media with whipped foam and cinnamon sprinkles. No, this was jet black, like her patience, like her dignity, like the nights she stayed up trying to make this business work without losing herself. Her tools were already packed, brushes sterilized, palettes arranged like weapons in a soldier's case, each item labeled, each sponge crisp and clean. Monica didn't play. She wasn't some internet hobbyist with a ring light and an opinion. She had credentials, experience, a portfolio that could hush a room full of critics. 7 years in the wedding industry, 0 complaints, never late. Today's job? A last-minute call from a high-profile planner. The original makeup artist got in a car wreck. The bride, Becky Ashmont, needed saving. And Monica, as always, showed up to rescue the day. Uninvited, perhaps, but unquestionably prepared. 8:10 a.m., Haven Grace Estate. Pulling into the grand iron gates of Haven Grace was like stepping into a page from a plantation fairy tale. If you believed fairy tales were built on marble columns, manicured lies, and money passed down in trust funds instead of wisdom. Monica's sedan looked out of place next to the rented luxury cars and sparkling limos. A young white man, gloves on, posture tight like he swallowed a stick of peppermint pride, greeted her with the kind of half-smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Are you the makeup artist?" he asked, voice barely hiding the surprise. "That's right." Okay. Room's upstairs, second on the left." Not rude, just sharp, like a paper cut, clean, barely visible, but stinging all the same. The bridal suite was flooded with light, laughter, and champagne. 5 women, all dressed in silk robes, lounged like influencers on vacation. Every single one was white. Every single one paused mid-laugh the moment Monica stepped in. And then, silence. Heavy, choking. Becky sat in the center, white dress hanging delicately beside her, like it had its own heartbeat. Her skin glowed, not from radiance but the untouched, unbothered glow of someone who'd never been checked. She turned toward Monica and blinked. Once. Twice. "Oh, who are you?" Her voice had the tone of a threat disguised as a question. "Monica Brooks. I'm here on behalf of Angelica, your scheduled artist. She gave me your details, the looks you liked, the tones you wanted." Becky didn't blink again, just stared, like a bouncer scanning someone too poor to be on the guest list. "I'm sorry," she said, rising slowly, "but there's obviously been a mistake." One of her bridesmaids whispered something, but Becky brushed her off. "Why didn't anyone tell me she was, well, you know?" Monica raised an eyebrow, calm, controlled. "If you're questioning my experience, I'd be happy to share my credentials." "No," Becky snapped. This is my wedding. I don't want to look like someone painted me wrong." Monica's hands didn't shake. Her back didn't bend. She'd heard versions of this before. The backhanded compliments, the polite refusals, the veiled nonsense. She quietly began packing up her tools, brushes clicking into their slots like clockwork. "You sure about this?" she asked softly. "I drove an hour and a half to get here. Your photographers are already setting up." Becky crossed her arms. "I don't care. Just leave." Monica nodded once. No smile, no more words. Just that same look a lion gives before walking out of a circus. Not because it's tame, but because it's done entertaining. 9:04 a.m., the road out. Monica sat in her car, engine idling, no tears. That stage had expired years ago. She didn't cry anymore when the world reminded her who it still thought she was. She sipped her 3rd cup of black coffee, checked her empty calendar, tapped her fingers against the wheel. She'd done everything right. Woke up before the sun, showed up clean, prepared, on time, and still got slapped with the same old phrase wrapped in a newer accent. "You don't belong here." 9:56 a.m., inside the estate, chaos. Meanwhile, back in the suite, disaster bloomed. One bridesmaid tried recreating a TikTok look. Another Googled, "wedding makeup for sensitive skin." It took 40 minutes for Becky's face to break out in red splotches. Her lips swelled. Her eyes watered. The photographer declared he wouldn't shoot until the bride looked camera ready. Becky was livid, panicked, screaming at everyone, including her reflection. "This is her fault," she sobbed. "She cursed this wedding." Her mother, trying to contain the unraveling, grabbed her arm. "No, baby, you did this." She left quietly, with dignity. "Now look at yourself." Becky stopped, looked at an old trial photo Monica had sent in advance. Soft contouring, perfect blend, flawless finish. And she crumbled. 10:21 a.m., local cafe. Monica was mid-bite into a cinnamon raisin bagel when her phone rang. She almost didn't pick up. "Ms. Brooks, it's Becky." Silence. Then a nervous inhale, a voice trembling like it just realized the floor isn't as stable as it thought. "I made a mistake, a big one. I shouldn't have said what I said. I shouldn't have treated you like that. Please, please come back." Monica didn't answer right away. She looked out the window at the people walking by. Ordinary folks, unbothered, living their Saturday like the world wasn't still allergic to accountability. She finally spoke. "I'll come, but when I walk in, you look me in the eye. And you apologize, not out of fear, but because you understand what you did." Becky was quiet. Then, "Yes, I understand now. I swear. Please." 10:47 a.m. The return. Monica's car rolled back through the grand gates of Haven Grace with the same grace it had when she left. Only this time, she wasn't returning as the unwelcome professional who was turned away with cold politeness. No, now she came back as the last line of defense. The emergency call that only rang when all other bridges had burned. The woman they'd written off, now summoned like a miracle they hoped wouldn't say, "I told you so." At the front gate, there was no awkward welcome, no strained pleasantries. The young white coordinator, the one with the clipped manners and soft judgment in his eyes, stood rigid, hands clasped like a student waiting for a lecture. He didn't meet her gaze, didn't offer any excuses, just gave a nod, slow and sheepish. He knew the house was on fire. And Monica? She was the only one holding a hose, but she didn't strut, didn't smirk. She didn't need to. Monica's kind of justice didn't show up in fireworks. It arrived with purpose, cool, sharp, and silent. She walked back into the bridal suite like a surgeon stepping into the OR. Steady hands, face calm, no small talk. Just mission mode. There were no more silk-robed giggles this time. No tinkling glasses of champagne. The air was thick with nerves and embarrassment. Becky, the bride, jumped to her feet the moment Monica entered. Her face, swollen, red-blotched, a mess of panic and regret, looked like she'd napped in a beehive. I'm so sorry," Becky stammered, stepping forward. Monica said nothing. She placed her case down with deliberate care, flipped it open, and began arranging her tools with the precision of a general deploying troops. Brushes aligned by function, palettes by tone, sponges by density. She didn't even look up until the last piece was set. Then she did. "Are you ready to listen?" she asked, voice low but firm. "Not because you're scared, but because you're ashamed." Becky froze. Her silence was louder than any apology. That was enough. 11:04 a.m. Back to work. If someone had filmed what followed, the documentary might have been titled "The Art of Restraint: How a Black Woman Reclaimed Her Space Without Saying a Word Too Loud." Monica worked in silence. Not the polite kind, but the kind that said, "We're not here for chit-chat, we're here for repair." No smiles, no sweetie, no makeup artist banter to fill the air. Just motion, just precision. She wasn't there to erase the morning. She wasn't there to fix Becky's mistake. Monica's job was to do what she did best. Deliver excellence so undeniable, it stood taller than any insult. She would make Becky's face look immaculate, not for Becky, but for herself. So when people looked at the bride, they wouldn't see the disaster she almost caused. They'd see Monica's professionalism and perfection despite it. Her hands worked with the grace of someone who knew her worth, not begging for approval, not shrinking for comfort. Then finally Monica spoke. "You know," she said coolly, eyes on Becky's jawline, "those breakouts on your chin? That's dairy and stress, but mostly stress from acting foolish." The room tensed. Bridesmaids went still. One of them shifted uncomfortably. Becky didn't respond. Couldn't. The truth stung more than any serum. "You're lucky I didn't leave for good. Most would have. I'm not your servant. I'm not a charity case. I'm a professional, trained in London, booked by people whose names would twist your tongue. I stayed, not because you deserve it, but because I don't let other people's ignorance mess with my standards." Becky blinked fast, tears brimming. Monica didn't blink back. She was there to blend foundation, not feelings. 11:42 a.m. Witnesses. Soon others started gathering. First Becky's mother, quiet, pale. Then the groom's uncle, Thomas Wellington, walked in with the stern gaze of a courtroom judge. Word had clearly spread through the estate like a broken champagne bottle. They didn't say a thing, just watched. Then Adam, the groom, stepped in. His eyes landed on Monica, then on Becky's half-finished face. "You still want to marry her?" Uncle Thomas muttered, sardonic. Adam exhaled. "Right now? Yes. But if Monica hadn't come back, maybe not." He stepped closer to Monica and extended a hand. "Thank you," he said softly, "for everything. And I'm sorry. On her behalf, if you'll accept it." Monica met his eyes, cool and unwavering. "You're partly responsible too," she said matter of fact. "You chose her. You knew what she was capable of. If you didn't, you were blind. If you did and stayed quiet, you were complicit. Either way, it doesn't reflect well." Adam nodded, took it, didn't argue, because when Monica spoke, there was nothing to rebut. She didn't shout. She didn't point fingers. She simply held up the truth like a mirror and let folks flinch at their own reflection. 12:23 p.m., the final stroke. By the time Monica finished, Becky looked like a bridal magazine ad. Flawless, radiant, the kind of beauty people assume is natural, not crafted under duress. But there was no highlighter on the shame Becky felt. That wasn't a glow. That was revelation, the kind that settles deep, past the pores. Monica packed her kit in silence, closed it, snapped the latches like punctuation. "You can walk down the aisle now," she said calmly. "People will see a beautiful bride, but you'll know the truth. Under that flawless face is the shame of what you did. If you want that shame gone, speak. Out loud. Start with an apology, in public." Becky swallowed hard. Words clung to her throat. 12:41 p.m., the garden. Guests were seated. The sun glared down with ceremonial heat. Flowers fluttered, but the air was thick, not with romance but with rumor. The whispers had made their rounds. Everyone knew something had gone down. Then Becky appeared. She moved slowly, gracefully, but with the heaviness of someone carrying more than a veil. The dress floated like a cloud. The face, porcelain perfection. But the eyes? The eyes carried weight. No contour could hide that. She reached the mic, took a deep breath. "I need to say something before this ceremony begins." Murmurs, shifts in chairs. Someone cleared their throat. "I may look beautiful today, but this morning I was ugly, not outside, inside. I hurt someone who came here to help me. I disrespected a woman, a professional, because of my own prejudice. And I did it publicly. So now I'm standing here to say it publicly. Monica Brooks, I am sorry. I was wrong. You didn't deserve that. You deserve better." Silence, like the world had paused. Some gasped, some looked away. A few nodded slowly, understanding what it cost her to say those words. Monica stood to the side, not smiling, not moved to tears, just standing, back straight, shoulders proud. She didn't need applause. She wasn't there for redemption. She came back, did her job, and reminded everyone what professionalism looked like when wrapped in the skin they didn't expect. She didn't reclaim a moment. She owned it. 1:08 p.m. Stillness after the storm. The air didn't clear right away. It hung heavy like humidity before a thunderstorm, pressing down on shoulders and silencing champagne flutes. Becky's admission had dropped like a lightning strike, not on open skies, but right on the wedding chandelier. The kind of confession that didn't just fill a room, it rearranged it. Anyone who came looking for free drinks and curated playlists got a bonus life lesson. No toast required. Monica stood back in the shadows, not retreating, but observing. People weren't avoiding her. They were looking for her. Some guests, unaware of the details, whispered and asked. Others, who'd seen it all unfold, simply nodded her way, not out of habit, but with a respect that couldn't be faked. But Monica? She didn't bask. She didn't soak in the attention or soften under the spotlight. Her power wasn't in applause. It was in the fact that the truth had finally been said out loud, and it didn't come from her mouth. That was the real victory. Then came Adam. The groom approached again, this time slower, as if every step was loaded with a weight he hadn't been ready to carry earlier. "I need to say something," he said quietly, "and I probably should have said it sooner." Monica didn't turn around. "So now you found your voice?" she said, her tone dry but calm. "I knew Becky had issues with boundaries, with bias, but I thought she'd grow out of it. I didn't know it was rooted that deep." "Now you do," she replied, finally turning her head slightly. "What you do with that knowledge, not my business. My job was to fix her face. You'll have to handle her soul." Adam paused, the words heavy in his chest, then nodded. He understood. Monica didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. Her words landed with the kind of weight that only lived experience can carry. The kind that can't be debated, only respected. 1:42 p.m., reception, bubbles, silence, and shame. Canapes were passed around like uneasy truths. Guests nibbled at them with the careful expressions of people trying to act normal at a wake. Even Becky's grandmother, who once referred to any person of color as exotic, like they were rare animals, now stared at her lap in silence. But Monica didn't leave just yet. Not because she enjoyed the discomfort or wanted to stretch out the moment. She stayed because she understood something Becky didn't. Sometimes your presence is the message, the lesson. You don't need to give a speech when your stillness says everything. That's when Uncle Thomas, Adam's uncle, approached her. "You did more in that room than a dozen PhDs ever could," he said, voice low but firm. "You didn't just apply makeup. You held up a mirror, and we all had to look." Monica gave him a slow nod. "Sometimes people don't need a mirror. They need a flashlight," she said. "And if the light hurts, it means something's infected. That's not my fault. That's their healing to do." Thomas didn't argue. He just nodded again, slower this time. 2:15 p.m., exit. Monica gathered her things without ceremony. No applause, no send-off, because real respect doesn't come in claps. It comes when people move out of your way, when no one dares to joke too close, when someone opens a door, not like they're helping a vendor, but like they're clearing space for someone who's earned it. The coordinator tried to stop her as she reached the door. "Ms. Brooks," he said nervously, "I wanted to talk. We'd love to offer you an exclusive partnership with—" "No," Monica cut in, not unkindly but clearly. "You wanted me invisible. Now you want me in your window. I don't do window displays. I am the store. Good luck with the rest of your weddings." He opened his mouth, thought better of it, and nodded. She was done educating. 3:03 p.m., the road home. The drive back was quiet. Not the awkward kind, the earned kind. Aretha Franklin hummed from the radio, not because Monica picked the song, but because the universe knew what she needed. The wind through the window cooled her cheeks, not from anger, but from release. It was over. She thought about Becky's trembling voice during the apology, the way her mother couldn't meet Monica's eyes, the weight of guests glancing sideways, embarrassed not by what was said, but that it had to be said at all. And all of it because a black woman had shown up to do her job better than they ever expected. 6:20 p.m., home. Monica stepped into her apartment. No marble floors, no Greek columns, just wood, warm light, and the smell of old books, good coffee, and peace. She kicked off her shoes, changed out of her work clothes, caught her reflection in the hallway mirror and didn't look away. "There you are," she whispered. "The one they don't expect, but the one they need when everything's falling apart." Her gaze wasn't smug. It wasn't triumphant. It was real, human, steady. She went to the kitchen, put water on for tea, and pulled out her notebook, leather-bound, well-used. On the cover were words she wrote years ago. "Don't forget what you've been through, but don't carry it on your back. Hold it in your hand, firm ready." She sat down and wrote, "Today I didn't return for money or for praise. I returned so a white woman could learn that her discomfort doesn't erase my worth, that my expertise isn't up for debate, and that my dignity is not something you borrow. I came back for me, to remind them, and myself, that I'm the standard, always was." She closed the notebook, because sometimes naming it is enough. Not everyone needs to know what you carried, as long as you know you carried it and didn't break. 9:47 p.m., the last message. The phone lit up, a message from Becky. "Monica, I don't know how to live with what I did, but if you ever decide you could forgive me, I want to learn. I want to understand, not perform. Please, give me a chance to grow." Monica stared at the screen for a long moment. She didn't respond right away. Then slowly she typed, "Start by telling others. Not me. Tell the ones who still think their whiteness is a license to be rude. And when you do that, for real, then you can reach out again." She hit send, turned the phone off. Epilogue. Becky went on with her life, but not like before. Adam stayed. But sometimes over dinner, he'd pause and say, "Remember our wedding day? When everything was falling apart, except one woman who stood taller than anyone?" And Becky would nod, because now she understood. Beauty doesn't erase the ugliness inside. And the ones you try to humiliate might be the only ones who can truly save you. And Monica, she kept working, but now on her own terms. Because she'd proven once and for all, respect isn't requested, it's taken.